Om Shanti. Good morning. We listen to Baba's Murli for 4th April 25. The essence is, sweet children, you are now making effort to become the most elevated human beings. Because the deities are pure, they are called the most elevated human beings. You are now becoming pure. Based on our purity, we become the most elevated human beings, which is the deity. Question: why has the unlimited Father given us children refuge? Why has the unlimited Father given us children refuge? Answer: because all of us were in the refuse bin. We were in the refuse bin. The Father takes us out of the refuse bin and makes us beautiful. He makes those with devilish traits into those with divine virtues. According to the drama plan, the Father has removed us from the refuse, adopted us, and made us belong to Him. So it's as if we were in refuse bins or trash cans. That means that we were so much surrounded by dirt, by things that were ugly, things that were stinking, our sanskars that were just eye nature, just so impure, just so dirty. We were surrounded by that, all of that. And Baba has removed us from that. He has adopted us. It's like, sometimes in India, when people, they want a boy child, but when a girl child is born, they would, leave the girl child near the trash can, near the trash. Um, so it's the same way. And then if someone saw, they would, adopt that girl or probably take her to an orphanage, the baby, the little baby, take the baby to an orphanage to be taken care of. So, in the same way, we were all in trash cans. That means surrounded by, um, we didn't know what we want in our life. We didn't have any aim and objective. We were just running the same race as everybody else, just trying to get ahead of each other, trying to pull others down, right? So much insecurity. So all of these and maybe some more sanskars. So Baba has now taken us out of this trash and is giving us a very beautiful life. He adopts us and makes us belong to him. He beautifies us, makes us pure, and makes us worthy of heaven. The song is, who has come in the early morning hours? So the early morning hours, so it is the morning of the day and also early morning in terms of the new cycle. So Sangam Yug, confluence age, is like the dawn of the new age. So who has come? Mhm. Om Shanti. The Father has to come to change the night into the day. You children know that the Father has now come. Previously, when we belonged to the Shudra clan, we had Shudra intellects, low intellects, degraded intellects. The picture of the variety of clans is very good for explaining to others. You children know how you go around the cycle of these castes. In last week's Murli, Baba has explained how we go through these castes, the meaning of all these castes. The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, has now changed us from Shudras into Brahmins. We become Brahmins at the confluence of every cycle. Brahmins are not called the most elevated beings. The most only the deities are called the most elevated beings. Brahmins are making effort here to become the most elevated beings. It is in order to be changed from impure to pure that people call out to the Father. Therefore, Each of you should ask yourself, to what extent am I becoming pure? Students also churn their studies. They understand what they will become through their studies. Like someone who's interested into going into medical school will focus on biology and the courses that are required to go into that school. Someone interested to go into engineering would focus on math and physics and all of that. So, in the same way, this is a study, and we are studying to become deities. So, our focus should be on how do I become a deity? What sanskar do I need to imbibe? Just as yesterday Baba said, all four subjects, we need to pass in all four subjects: knowledge, yoga, dharana, and seva. So Baba says, it is in the intellects of you children that you have now become Brahmins in order to become deities. This is your most valuable life because you are God's children. God is teaching you Raj Yoga. He is changing you from impure to pure. You are becoming pure deities. It is very good to explain the castes. Sannyasis do not agree with this aspect, but they do understand the calculation of 84 births. They can also understand that they who belong to the religion of renunciation do not take 84 births because they don't go through the entire cycle. Sannyasis believe in renunciation, renouncing their homes, families, the comforts of the world. So they don't believe in golden age. They don't, because they have not seen it. They have not experienced it. They have no sanskars of golden age. So even those of Islam and Buddhists, etc., can understand that although they do not take 84 births, they do take rebirth, but fewer in number. When you explain to them, they will quickly be able to understand because they all know of heaven. Because if we go back in time, Judaism, right, started right after Silver Age. So the founder Abraham had seen probably or had heard of heaven. That's why in the religion of Islam, Judaism, Jewish, and Christianity, they talk about heaven, which is God's heaven. So Baba says that when you explain to them, they will understand quickly. You have to have tact when you explain to them. Baba refreshes the intellects of you children who are personally sitting here, just as other children also come here to be refreshed. Baba refreshes you every day and says, imbibe these things. Let your intellects only continue to think about how we take 84 births and how we have become Brahmins from Shudras. So think about how I went through the entire cycle, how I became like this, what was my intellect like, and what have I become now. Brahmins are the children of Brahma. Now, where did Brahma come from? The father explains, I named this one Brahma. All of you BrahmaKumars and Kumaris are a family. Therefore, you must surely have been adopted. Only the father would adopt you. He is called the father, not Dada, not Brahma. It is Shiv Baba who adopts us. Only the father can be called the father. You receive property from the father. A paternal or maternal uncle or someone of the same family may adopt a child. The father has told you how someone found a little baby girl in a refuse bin and took her out and gave her to a couple to adopt because they didn't have a baby of their own. That child would start calling the couple who adopted her mother and father. Here it is a matter of the unlimited. It is as though you children were in an unlimited refuse bin. You were lying in a river of poison. You were lying so dirty, covered with dirt. That means, remember, Baba is talking to the soul. So the soul being covered with all the dirt of the vices. According to the drama, the father came and removed you from the refuse and adopted you. This Tamopradhan world would only be called refuse. Human beings with devilish traits are body conscious. The vices of lust and anger are very big. You were in Ravan's big refuse bin. In fact, you are also refugees. You have now taken refuge with the unlimited Father in order to come out of the refuse and become beautiful deities. At present, everyone in the whole world is in a big refuse bin. The Father comes to remove you from the rubbish and make you belong to Him. However, those who have been living in the refuse have become so used to it that even when they are taken out of it, they still prefer the rubbish. The Father has come to remove you from this unlimited refuse bin. They still, they're, it's like some people who were living in, um, in like chawls or like in some refuge place, and suddenly they have so much money and they buy this big house and all of that, but then their mannerisms, the way they talk to others, the way they don't have respect and all of that, so their mannerisms will show where they come from, because they have not adopted or adapted to the new life. So in the same way, when some souls had so much of the vices, the way they would speak, use bad language, right, use cuss words and all of that. But now when Baba has adopted them, it's a new life. So do I adapt myself to this new life, or do I still keep going back to the rubbish? Using certain language, the way we speak, the way, no manners. And that's why Baba keeps reminding us in the Murlis, have manners, right? Have divine manners, be sweet, be like sweet to each other, respect, give regard to one another. So Baba says, people even call out, Baba, come and make us beautiful. Remove us from this forest of thorn and make us into flowers. Make us sit in God's garden. At present, we are in a forest of devils. The Father takes you children into his garden. You have now become Brahmins from Shudras and you are to become deities. It is to become the kingdom of deities, not Brahmins. Although you are called Pandavas, you Pandavas do not have a kingdom. So at this time, we don't have a kingdom. At this time, we are a family, godly family. When we become deities, we receive a kingdom. So you are sitting with the Father in order to gain your kingdom. So Baba calls us Pandavas at this time because Pandavas means those who had one faith, who belong to the one, who had firm faith, Nishchay Buddhi, in the one. Pandavas are also called guides. So we are Baba's children who become guides for others. So not those Pandavas who had the kingdom or who fought for their kingdom. So even though Baba says that yes, we are fighting for our kingdom, but what kind of a war are we fighting? The Mahabharat war is connected to the Pandavas. So Baba says we are fighting, but we are fighting an incognito war with our vices, not with our own brothers and sisters or relatives. It's not a physical war, but it's a war with our own vices. So Baba says, you are sitting with the Father in order to gain your kingdom. This unlimited night is now coming to an end, and the unlimited day is about to dawn. You heard the song, Who came early in the morning? He comes early in the morning to finish the night and to bring the dawn. This means that he comes to establish heaven and to have hell destroyed. Even if this much remains in your intellects, you can have happiness. Those who are to claim a high status in the new world will never show their devilish natures. They would serve the yagya with a great deal of love through which they will become very elevated. You should even give your bones to this yajna. Each of you should check yourself. How will I claim a high status if I behave like this? You are no longer senseless babies. You can understand for yourself how you would become a king or part of the subjects. Baba has taken an experienced chariot who knew kings, etc., very well. So Brahma Baba would deal with a lot of kings and queens and all of them for jewels, right? When he was the jewel merchant. So he knew how the kings are. So even the maids and servants of the kings receive a lot of happiness. They live with the kings, but they would still be called maids and servants. They do have happiness, and they also eat the food that the king and queen eat. Those who live outside the palace wouldn't be able to eat that. It is number wise for the maids too. Some adorn the queen, some look after the children, and others sweep the floors. Kings of today have so many maids and servants. Therefore, imagine how many there would be there in Golden Age and how happy everyone would be there. They are all in charge of their own separate sections. Their places of residence would be separate. They wouldn't be as decorated as the king and queen. They would come inside the palace, but they would still live in the servants' quarters. Therefore, the Father explains very clearly, have mercy for yourselves, so that you become the highest on high. Have mercy on yourself. 2 days ago, Baba said, you are your own friend and your own enemy based on the choices we make. So have mercy on yourself because inside we know what is helping me. Inside we know what is making me elevated. But then I don't listen to that inner voice. I am not putting in the effort that will take me beyond. So Baba says, have mercy on yourself. You have now become Brahmins from Shudras. This great fortune is for you. You are to become deities. This confluence age is very beneficial. There's benefit for you in every aspect. When you prepare food in the kitchen whilst remaining in a state of yoga, many will benefit. At the Srinath Dwar temple, they prepare food in total silence. They even cover their mouth when they prepare food. So Baba says, they only remember Srinath. Devotees remain very engrossed in their devotion. You should remain intoxicated with this knowledge. There's such devotion of Sri Krishna, don't even ask. Two young children went to live at Vrindavan. They were complete devotees of Sri Krishna. They said that they would only live there and would leave their bodies there in remembrance of Sri Krishna. They were invited so many times to go and stay in a good home and take this knowledge, but they said that they only wanted to live there. They would be called the highest of all the devotees. They completely surrendered themselves to Sri Krishna. You now have to surrender yourselves to the Father. But remember, Baba's surrender is surrendering the body, mind, wealth, relationships, everything here. The soul's surrender. Surrendering I, surrendering the name and form, surrendering my identity that I think that this is who I am. Surrendering I, me, mine. So at the beginning, so many surrendered themselves to Shiv Baba. Many came, but when we moved to India, many remembered their homes and families and left. There are omens over many. Sometimes there is one type of omen and sometimes another. Baba has told you to ask everyone who comes, where have you come to? Did you see the board outside that says the BrahmaKumaris and Kumaris? This is a family. One is the incorporeal Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, and the other one is remembered as Prajapita Brahma. All of these here are his children. Shiv Baba is the Dada, the grandfather. We receive our inheritance from him. He gives this advice, remember me and you will become pure from impure. So earlier on in the Murli Baba said, it's not this Dada who adopts you, but it is the father. So Shiv Baba is the father and Brahma is the Dada, which is the elder brother. And now Baba says Shiv Baba becomes the grandfather and Brahma becomes the father. That's why the name BrahmaKumaris, BrahmaKumaris. He gives this advice, remember me and you will become pure from impure. He gave the same advice in the previous cycle too. This is such an elevated study. Your intellects understand that you are claiming the inheritance from the Father. You children are studying this study in order to change from humans into deities. Therefore, you definitely have to imbibe divine virtues. Your food and drink, as well as your words and behavior, must be very royal. Deities eat very little. They are not tempted by anything. 36 varieties of food are prepared for them, yet they eat very little. To be tempted by food or drink is devilish behavior. To be tempted by food or drink is devilish behavior. You have to imbibe divine virtues, and so your food and drink have to be very pure and simple. However, Maya is such that she makes your intellects completely like stone. Therefore, you receive a status accordingly. The Father says, in order to bring benefit to yourselves, imbibe divine virtues. If you study well and teach others, you will receive a prize. The Father does not give this, you claim it through your own efforts. So, again, if Baba were to give the prize, then people would blame God for being partial. So, Baba says, I don't give any prize. You claim it according to your own effort. It's like when I reach high, it's an automatic machinery. The higher my actions are, the higher my stages, the purer I become. Accordingly, I receive. So it's that way. So Baba says, what would you receive if you left your body at this moment? Check yourselves to see to what extent you are doing service and what you will become. What would you receive if you left your body at this moment? If any of you were to ask Baba this, Baba would say instantly, it is understood what status you will claim because of this activity of yours. So if someone asked Baba, Baba, what would I become? And seeing one's activity, Baba would say that this is what you would become. If you do not make effort, you will cause a loss for yourself every cycle. Those who do service well will definitely claim a good status. Internally, it is understood which ones are to become maids and servants. This would not be said out loud. Students at school can understand whether they will become seniors or juniors. It is the same here. Those who are seniors will become kings and queens, whereas the juniors will attain a lower status. There are seniors and juniors amongst the wealthy, and there are seniors and juniors amongst the maids and servants too. So that means everywhere there is number wise. The status of the seniors is higher. A maid who is a sweeper has no right to enter the palace. You children can understand all of these things very well, and you will understand them even more at the end. You have to give regard to those who become elevated. Just look at Kumarka, Dadi Prakashmani. She is a senior, and so she has to be given regard. The father is drawing the attention of you children to this. Give regard to the Maharathi children. If you do not give regard, you are increasing the burden of sin on yourselves. The Father draws your attention to all of these things. You have to be very cautious about how you give regard to everyone number wise. Baba knows each one. If something is said to someone, they wouldn't take long to become traitors. There are also the bondages on the Kumaris and mothers. They have to tolerate so much. Mostly it is the mothers who write, Baba, this one troubles me so much. What should I do? However, you are not an animal that he can force you. Like some mothers used to write, Baba, my husband forces me into sin, into the vice of lust. So Baba would say that you're not an animal. How can someone force you? You must have some desire inside your heart as well. This is why you are asking. There's nothing to ask about in this. A soul is his own enemy and his own friend. You can do whatever you want. To ask means that you have some desire in your heart. The main thing is remembrance. It is by having remembrance that you can become pure. Lakshmi and Narayan are the number one pure ones. Mama did so much service. None of you could claim to be cleverer than Mama. Mama was the wisest of all in this knowledge. Many are weak in yoga. They are unable to stay in remembrance. If you do not remember Baba, how are your sins going to be absolved? The law says that at the end you have to leave your body in remembrance. You souls have to leave your bodies in remembrance of Shiv Baba. No one but the one Father should be remembered. There must be no attraction to anything. This has to be practiced. We came bodiless and we have to return bodiless. The soul comes, leaves the home, comes here and takes a body and goes back bodiless. Baba repeatedly says to you children, become very sweet. Also imbibe divine virtues. There are now the evil spirits of body consciousness. Each of you must pay a lot of attention to yourself. Interact with others with a lot of love. Remember the Father and spin the cycle. Explain to everyone the secrets of the cycle, and they will be amazed. No one is able to remember 84 births, so how could anyone remember 8.4 million births? Think about it. Just for 84 births, we have created so many stories. So 8.4 million births, how much of it would be true? That couldn't even enter anyone's mind. Even if you only keep this cycle in your intellect, it is great fortune. This play is now coming to an end. There has to be disinterest in this old world. Your intellect's yoke should go to the land of silence and that land of happiness. Man Manabhav is also mentioned in the Gita. No one who studies the Gita knows the real meaning of Man Manabhav. You children know it. God speaks, renounce all bodily relations and consider yourselves to be souls. Who said this? God Himself said this. Some say that they only believe in the scriptures. Even when God comes, they still do not believe Him. They continue to study the scriptures accurately. There are some children, right, who take this knowledge, but when they don't have faith that this is who God is, they just continue with their scriptures. God has come and is teaching Raj Yoga. Establishment is now being carried out. All of those scriptures, etc., belong to the path of devotion. If they had the faith that this is God, they would start to claim their inheritance. Then even devotion would fly away. However, this can only be possible when they have faith in this. So it's only possible when you have 100% faith that this is God teaching me. Only then can I claim the inheritance. Because if through devotion, if people were able to claim their inheritance, think about where the world would be today, where souls would be today. So, devotion doesn't help. Devotion sustains us for some time. Devotion keeps a hope in the soul. But now that we have found God, God has given His own introduction. Let me connect to Him. Let me study the study that God is teaching me. And let me see. And if after giving, say, a year or so, it doesn't work for me, go back to your devotion. But let me give this my best shot. Unless I give my best shot, I wouldn't know if this works. Acha? To you, sweetest beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, Bap Dada. The spiritual father says namaste to you, spiritual children, and the spiritual children say namaste to the spiritual father. Essence for dharana. In order to become deities, imbibe very royal sanskars. Your food and drink must be very pure and simple. Do not be tempted. In order to benefit yourself, imbibe divine virtues. Pay attention to yourself and interact with everyone with a lot of love. Give regard to those who are senior to you. Become very sweet, do not become body conscious. Today's blessing. May you have pure and positive thoughts for others. May you have pure and positive thoughts for others, and by being merciful, merge anything of the past. And by being merciful, merge anything of the past. When someone comes to you to tell you about someone's weaknesses of the past, then just step aside with good wishes. Let there not be any wasteful thinking or talking about weaknesses among yourselves. Be merciful and merge anything of the past. Merge those things and continue to serve that soul with good wishes in your mind. Even if someone is saying, doing, or listening to something wrong due to the influence of their sanskars, transform that one. Do not allow a rosary of any wasteful matters to be created by spreading them from 1 to 2 to 3 in this way. To pay such attention means to have pure and positive thoughts. So even if someone comes to you and talks about someone else's sanskars of the past, they did this, they do this, Baba says in your heart, sometimes you can stop them, but if you cannot, but in your heart, don't hold on to their sanskars. From your heart, just continue to give good wishes for them to transform. Because if I get influenced by someone telling me something about the other, and I start looking at the other based on the information that I received, then I will not be able to have good wishes for them. So Baba says, keep good wishes in your heart. Don't create, don't have, don't create any judgments. Don't have any, uh, you know, illusion or any kind of a preconceived idea about them. Remember that each one's karmic account is different. Each two people's karmic account is different. Maybe I have a different account with that soul. But if I label that soul based on the information I received, then how can I benefit the soul, or how will I be able to serve the soul? Today's slogan: be a jewel of contentment and you will be loved by God, by people, and by yourself. Be a jewel of contentment and you will be loved by God, by people, and by yourself. Today's Avyak signal: there is life when both the soul and his body are combined. And if that soul were to become separated from his body, then life would finish. In the same way, a karma yogi life means there is no action without yoga and no yoga without action. Remain constantly combined and you will continue to achieve success. That is karma yoga, where my every action is in yoga, and with yoga, I perform every action. It's karma yoga combined. Cha, Om Shanti. So today's Murli, Baba is reminding us of, again, Baba has adopted us from the refuse been? How were we? What was my life? What were my sanskars like? Maybe in this birth, we were good, pretty much. But still look at what my sanskars were. What vices was I covered in? And here Baba adopts me and removes the vices, washes me, beautifies the soul, makes the soul pure. Do I still like going back into that rubbish? Or do I adapt myself to this new life that Baba is giving me? So today, Baba is reminding us how we should behave, how we should interact, give regard, give respect, what my language should be, not to use cuss words, not to use negative, low, impure language. So, a life that Baba is giving me is no less. Baba says that this Brahmin birth is not elevated because we are studying now to become elevated as deities. But this Brahmin birth is no less. I'm connected to God. God gives his own introduction to me at this time. So, how do I value this birth? How do I spend my time in this birth? Right? So, think about this. How am I spending this life, this BK life that I have received? Okay. So, let's remember Baba. Let's go beyond. I go within and I become introverted from the sounds around me. I, the soul, I'm multi-million fortunate because God has adopted me. He removes me from the dirt of this world and makes me sit on his heart throne. God the Father makes me belong to him, gives me this elevated knowledge, and transforms me into a deity. This life of mine is surrendered to God. I surrender all my body consciousness, the eyes and mind, my old sanskars, my old nature, and I adopt a new nature, new sanskars. Nothing and no one belongs to me. I have mercy on myself. So I pay attention to this study, to this knowledge, to remembrance. I understand that this is for my benefit. So I pay attention to this study. I am a karma yogi, the one who performs actions in yoga, staying connected to the one, being combined with the one. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. So have a great day with Baba. See you tomorrow. Om Shanti.